Hey everybody, Mr. Chor here. I got a quick video for you on solving quadratic equations by factoring. Let's go! Alright, so first off, an explanation again of what the zero product property is. This is super important. You definitely need to know this because this is what makes all of this factoring work for all of Algebra 1, Algebra 2, etc. The zero product property says that if you want two things to multiply to zero, either this equals 0 or the other one equals 0. So let me explain what that means here. If I plug in x equals 4 to this equation and it equals 0, it means that that's a solution to my equation. So if I say 2 times 4 minus 8 times 14 times 4 minus 7 equals 0, I want to know, does x equal 4 make this equation true? Well, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. So this first set of parentheses is 0. So I don't even need to go through and do the rest of this. I don't need to figure out what 14 times 4 is, because I know whatever that turns into is going to be 0 times stuff, and that equals 0. Alternatively, if I solve this, I get x equals 1/2. That would give me 1 minus 8 times 7 minus 7. That's negative 7 times 0. That equals 0. So the zero product property tells me that if I have two things multiplied together, they will equal 0 if either the left part equals 0 or the right part equals 0. Let's see how that helps us with factoring. I can make this equation equal 0 by using two separate numbers. But the problem is, I don't know what they are. Let's say I was just guessing, and I said, oh, I think 10 is one of them. Would you believe that that works? Well, 10 squared is 100, minus 90, minus 10. That does equal 0. So that means that x equals 10 is a solution. Well, how could I do that without just using guess and check all of the time? Well, I could take my equation and I could factor. So remember, factoring is a process of looking at the last term and say, hey, what multiplies to negative 10 and adds to make negative 9? So the ways you can multiply to make negative 10 are 1 and negative 10, or negative 1 and positive 10, 2 and negative 5, or negative 2 and positive 5. Which of those add to make negative 9? Well, this one. So writing that out in factors would be x plus 1, because it's positive 1, times x minus 10. Once I've got those factors, I can say, oh, this is going to be true if either x plus 1 equals 0, or if the other side, x minus 10 equals 0. So either x equals negative 1, which I didn't know, or x equals positive 10, which is what I guessed. Okay? So your goal when solving an equation by factoring is to go from the equation to the factored form, and then to solve two separate equations because of that. So this equation is going to have two separate solutions, negative 1 and positive 10. So your Khan Academy is going to have problems that are one step more challenging because we already did the regular factoring. So now we notice that this starts with 3x squared. Well, what do I do to that? Well, I'm going to factor out a greatest common factor. So it helps to start and think, okay, 3x squared 36x, and 81. Each one of those is divisible by 3. So I could factor the 3 out. 3 times x squared plus 12x, because 3 times 12 is 36, plus 27 equals 0. Then I'm going to look, I'm going to say, what multiplies to make 27 and adds to make 12? Well, 27 is just 1 and 27, or 3 and 9. 3 and 9 add to make positive 12. So this is 3 times x plus 3 times x plus 9, sorry. And then my solutions are going to come from here. Either x plus 3 equals 0, which would mean that x equals negative 3, or x plus 9 equals 0, which means x equals negative 9. So the smaller x value is negative 9. The larger x value is negative 3. Now, you might be saying, well, what about this? Well, can I make 3 equal 0? No, because 3 is just 3. That's why they call it a constant. It's not a variable. It can't change. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, and I want you to see if you can figure out how to do this problem here on the right. I'll have the answers in just a second. Okay, so I factored, and I got factors of x minus 4 and x plus 1. So my solutions, 4 is the larger one, and negative 1 is the smaller one. All right, I hope that video helped. Have fun doing the math.